I want to respond to a video that I watched, and the video is called Black Women Want to Be White, and it's here on YouTube. I'll put a link in the description box so that you can check out the video for yourself and let me know what you guys think about what he had to say. So there were some things that I agreed with that he said, and there were a lot of things that I didn't agree with, and there were also some things that I think he could have, I don't know, maybe said more about it, I guess. I don't know. So I do agree that Black women hate their natural hair. However, I don't necessarily think all Black women hate their hair, and I don't think his reasoning or evidence was valid as proof that Black women hate their hair. And he says one proof that Black women hate their hair is the fact that they wear wigs and weaves and stuff like that. My response to that is like, that's not a good point. That's not a valid point. And the reason why is because right now I'm wearing a wig, and I'm not afraid to say it. I'm wearing a wig, and underneath, I don't know if you can see, but my hair is natural. I have natural afro curly hair. And just because I'm wearing this wig, it doesn't mean that I hate my natural hair. If I hated my natural hair, underneath this wig, I'd have a perm. So for him to say like, oh, Black women hate their hair and that's why they wear wigs, that's not true. I wear wigs, and I know there are many other Black women who have natural hair that can agree with me on this. I wear a wig because I want to protect my natural hair. My natural hair is very sensitive and it's very fragile, and sometimes I have to put a wig on it to keep it protected. Underneath this wig, it's in braids. That's keeping it, you know, nice and well. I also don't like to wear my natural hair out a lot because I live in Rome, in Europe, so people here smoke so much, and I could go and wash my hair, go outside, and it's like all in my hair, you know? Whereas if smoke goes in this, I can shake it out and it's good. I also wear weaves sometimes too because, as I said, it's a protective style. So maybe I want my hair, my fro, to grow more, so I keep it in braids and I put it in in the weave or whatever to protect my hair. Or if I want to go swimming and I know that my natural hair is going to curl up and it's going to shrink really quickly, I'll put weave in so that I know I can go swimming very often without having to worry about, you know, having to spend hours to maintain my hair. So all in all, this is just to say that that's not a good point to say that one proof that Black women hate their hair is because they wear wigs. Like, no, I think there's another point that you could make to prove that point. I think he made a good point about white people not knowing Beyonce and Black people's real hair. So he talks about how he's in Russia and how when he told like some of his Russian friends or whatever that Beyonce's hair wasn't real, that they were like so like dumbfounded about it or so shocked about it. And it's so true. I actually had my own experience where I went to get a facial, and the person that was doing my facial was Asian, and I had my natural hair out, and when I'm laying down, she's like, "Can I touch your hair?" And I was like, "Fine, go ahead, whatever." So she's touching my hair, and then she's like, "But what did you do? Like, did you put something in your hair for it to come out like this?" Like she thought that my natural hair was like treated, was like permed or something, because maybe in her mind she's probably used to seeing Black women with hair like hers or European hair, that to see a Black woman with this like curly, you know, coiled hair was like, what did you do to get that? Because that's not your natural hair. Okay, moving along. He says no one can slap you better than the person next to you. Okay, this is a good point, but you're also kind of contradicting yourself, because you say nobody can basically call you out on something better than the person who like identifies with you most, which is true. But can we talk about how he is using the word nigger? And not only is he using the word nigger, but he also had the nerve to call the Russian girl that he called, you know, in the video, he called her a nigger. So after, you know, she was going away, he was like, okay, bye, thank you, my nigga. I'm not sure what his opinion is on the word nigger and, you know, what he thinks about it, but I think it's very negative, and I don't think people should be using it. And I, most of all, don't think that black people should be calling other white people niggers, because it makes them think that it's okay for them to call other black people niggers, and that is a risk. That is a risk, because if you go to somebody else, if you're white and you go to one person, you say, oh, what up, my nigga, and they're cool with you, and they're like, oh yeah, what up, my nigga, and you go to somebody else and they're black and you say, what up, my nigga, and they're not cool with you saying the N-word, good luck. Good luck, my friend. You know, it's not something that we have universally said it is okay to say the N-word. Like, we're still in this like gray area with it. There's still people who feel extremely uncomfortable with the use of the N-word, and there are other people who are like, who cares, let's move on. So all in all, don't take the risk. Don't say it at all, because you don't know what you're going to get yourself into when it comes out of your mouth. Do not say it. That's my opinion. So then he uses the word nappy in his video. He talks about how the little girl's hair was nappy, her ponytail was nappy, and then he even goes on to say that a Jew fro, so a Jewish person who has a fro, is considered curly hair, and a black person with this, which you can see, you can't really see it, would be considered nappy. First of all, like, nappy, as far as I know, was never considered a word to be used in a positive light. Like, if you said somebody's hair was nappy, it was to criticize them. Nappy hair is curly hair. Just because it's a tighter curl and it takes more to comb through it, it does not mean that it's less of a curl. It is a tight, curly coil. It's a tight, coily curl, whatever. It's tight, but it is a curl. What makes a curl is the fact that it has a curve. So whether your curve is dangly like this one, like my wig, or whether your curl is shorter and closer together, it does not mean it's not a curl. It is still a curl. I think he did make a very, very good point about how black people get surgery to look white rather than to look blacker. And that is true. I agree with that. I mean, if you're watching this and you disagree with me, definitely let me know your case, because I'm really open to anybody's opinion, and if it makes sense to me, I will change my own opinion. Now, another point that I want to raise is how he doesn't talk about the black man's role in a black woman's self-esteem. He talks a lot about celebrities, about like Beyonce and things like that, but he has not yet talked about black men like himself. In his video, he says there was a time when, you know, having a fat ass was like considered like ill and not cool or whatever, but black women did not care because they liked their fat ass or whatever, something like that. But the thing that he needs to say, in my opinion, is that black women did not have a problem with their fat ass because black men loved their fat ass, okay? Now, I bet you if black men were saying, ooh, girl, your ass is too big. Ooh, this is too much, girl. I don't like this. They wouldn't have felt good about it. In my opinion, a lot of black women's self-esteem, like their value of themselves, also comes from black men. When we're putting on these tight dresses and we're putting on our makeup and we're doing our hair, it's not for ourselves. It's for men in general. How we perceive ourselves comes from the feedback that we get from black men. And that brings me to the topic of hair again. A lot of black men don't like black women's natural hair. Even living here in Rome, Italy, like, I've gone to African salons and I remember a black man like saying, why don't you get a perm? And I remember some of them even looking at me like, ooh, girl. And then, on contrary, I actually go to a European salon. Shout out to Contessa Rock Hair. It's very good for trimming your natural hair. And the people there, the men and the women, love my hair, my natural hair. They love it. So the question is, why is it that a black man can't appreciate a woman's, and not all of them, but most of them, cannot appreciate a black woman's natural hair, whereas a white man is like in love with it? My ex-boyfriend is Italian, and I had him wash my hair one time, and like it was one of the most beautiful experiences. He washed my natural hair and he loved it. He smiled, he examined it, he loved my natural hair. So why is it that black men can't do the same? And then he makes a point about how black men tend to go out with white women because they're fed up with black women trying to be white, so they figure I might as well just go with the real white thing. That's not a good point in my case, because if black men were so fed up with black women trying to be white, then wouldn't a black man go with like a natural black woman, someone who isn't trying to be white? If you don't like a black girl trying to be white, you would go out with a black girl who's trying to be black. And the final point that I want to make is that he says black people always want people to be us. That is so false, in my opinion. That is so false. If black people always wanted people to be us, then why is it that there are still some black people, like myself, who are offended when white people and Asian people and anybody who is not black, and even black people themselves, saying the word nigger? I don't want you to be me. I want you to be who you are. And the thing too is like, he's also wrong about it, because it's like, it's not that black people want people to be us. It's that, don't get offended, but not everybody, but some people admire the things that we have as black people, and they seek to replicate it. The prime example is music. If we think about rap and hip hop and the origins of it and how it all started off, and now we think about where it has evolved or de-evolved or whatever. Now we have Iggy Azalea, or whatever her last name is. It's not something that like we want people to be us. People are trying to be us. Well, maybe I shouldn't say they're trying to be us, but they're definitely trying to do some of the things that we do, because somehow we're cool but not cool at the same time. Anyways, I've been talking for a long time, but I basically, just put out there the things that I agreed with and I disagreed with. And if you agree with, what I had to say, or disagree with what I had to say, let me know. Leave me a comment, and I will definitely be open to your opinion and your point of view. But first of all, check out his video to see where he's coming from, because maybe you would understand him in a different kind of way. That being said, have a good day and bye.